Good to see you. Hi, welcome everyone. Welcome to our very first episode of the Polkaros podcast, where I speak to different craftspeople and creatives from all around the world about their craft journey, and also maybe they can share with us like how they navigate the modern world. So today my guest is Peixuan from Marshmellowneh. Welcome.
Hi Ross. Nice to meet you and nice to meet everyone.
Just a brief introduction of Peixuan and her brand Marshmellowneh. A very interesting name. We'll hear more about it later. But a brief introduction would be she makes these very beautiful botanical-inspired earrings and accessories. And I thought it would be very interesting to speak to her today because our new collection is also inspired by flowers, and all her works are so beautiful, and we already talked about it briefly, but then there's so much to learn from her about flowers and accessories, so I'm excited to have this conversation together. So, okay, tell us more about your brand and how you started.
Okay. My brand Marshmellowneh was really I started making my accessories in 2019 primarily because I was trying to find accessories to wear for my wedding. And so during that point, I think I definitely wanted something handmade. So I actually tried looking online, and there were a few artisans that I followed. So but I realized that either they don't ship to Singapore or they were actually out of my budget at that point in time. So after looking at the works, I thought that I decided to just embark on a project where I go, okay, let's try making something on my own. So, I think I spent half a month working on different styles. And eventually I ended up with a hair accessory for myself.
Wow.
And I also made boutonnieres, like corsages and stuff for my husband and my family. Yeah. So the boutonnieres themselves were made with a mix of my like resin leaves as well as real flowers.
Wow,
So
sounds so lovely.
yeah, and after that, I dried the boutonnieres, and I mean I still keep them with me.
Wow, that's lovely.
So it's like a nice little wedding memento.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you started looking for some accessories for your wedding, did you already have an idea of what you wanted, like flower related or like?
I definitely wanted something floral related. But then, at the back of my mind, I was thinking, I wish that whatever I had could be preserved as well. So I think that's why I wanted something that's handmade, but could also tie in well with the flowers that I have arranged to have at the wedding.
Yes.
So I think at that point of time, I had a friend who worked with a florist. So the idea was like I wanted something that's just greens and whites, like an herb bouquet.
Wow.
Yeah. So
nice.
So the whole thing there was a bit of symbology behind that also. So like we chose an herb bouquet because like each herb represented something. Like basil leaves represented protection and things like that.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
So when we mix it up with my leaves, right, I think my leaves were a bit more generic. Yeah. But with the other things, the other herbs that were there, it kind of made it a bit more meaningful. Then I think from then onwards, I think when I made this, and then when I showed it off to my family and friends, people were like, "Oh, you can try selling them. Maybe it might be popular because they have not seen such artwork before."
Yes.
Yeah. So I thought, okay, maybe I should do it because after I got married, I was going to move overseas with my husband. So I thought, this will be a nice side project since I've left my job and moving overseas. So I thought this would be something nice to keep me occupied. Yeah, so I guess that's how it all started.
Yeah, so just to describe to our listeners, if you're listening and not watching, how beautiful these flower accessories are and how they are made, right? Like they are very intricate. So when I first saw them, I couldn't really tell what material it was made of, and like they're like looked like there were many layers, and it's very intricate and beautiful and really brought out the beauty of like flowers. And so when I found out how it was made today, I was even more impressed and more in love with them. So I'll leave it to Peixuan to really share with us her craft, like how are they made.
Okay. My craft material, right, are primarily made with resin and wires. So I'll use craft wires and I'll shape the petals and the leaves. Then subsequently I'll apply these wire frames, these wire shaped frames with resin. And I mean, depending on the color of the flower or the finishing, then I'll just try to replicate the actual petals that I see in real life, and yeah, piece them together. So each flower, each leaves are actually crafted by hand.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have some on the table here. I will also do a close-up kind of footage of them. I think what is really fascinating, because you're using resin, you can actually see the translucency as well, and you can add like different layers of colors to bring out the beauty of like the blooms, right? So I think that's something that really attracts the eye here.
Yeah, I feel that. I think this one, sometimes when people ask, so how do you put the resins on top of them?
Yes.
Then I think the closest analogy I can put across would be, it's like manicurists doing your nails. Yeah,
yeah.
because like manicurists, they can get into the fine details as well, like drawing tiny motifs. Yeah, so I think it's the same thing with the petals. Like when I color them in, I can choose to make gradients. I can add little embellishments like tiny crystals or something onto it. Yeah, so I think that gives it a bit more. I think it looks more. There's a lot more texture going on, instead of like a flat plane. And some petals, I think, for example, this one, they have a lot more. There's a marble texture on the petals as well.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And so there are layers of resin that you actually apply within the frame, the metal frame that you create.
Yeah.
Wow. So is it almost like painting, you would say, like putting layers of colors on, and then you put it. Do you use a UV light to cure them? Oh.
Yeah, so I think I think that's why the manicurist analogy is quite apt. It's like after you're done with every layer, the resin I use is epoxy UV resin. So I think you just give it a good sun under the UV.
Oh, but how do you hold it? Like, let's say the metal frame is empty, right? And then you fill it up with resin. Then how does the liquid stay?
Okay. Yeah. I think because my earrings, right, the petals are quite small. So I mean, they are holding up through tension. It's like a bubble ring. When you apply that coating, it kind of just like
that's it.
Yeah,
oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, but to make it robust enough to handle wearing and holding, right? You need to apply a few layers. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So like just like the manicurist, you do it one layer, then
again, the same
and
thing.
Again. Oh, I see.
I might be inspired by them too.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think so for sure. And you can also, I mean, if you're talking about nail art, then definitely you can even put things inside, right? And have not just paint the resin itself, but you can put like bits of like other materials in there if you wanted to.
You can. I mean, with resin, by like how the conventional resin art is, you can actually mix different color dyes. You can add things like glitter as well. So it's the same thing with my works. You can actually add like a bit of embellishments within the resin. Like I think for this pair of earrings, there are the resins, there's actually the whites, and then the center, there's a gradation of pink. But the pink, I added some shimmer powder to it. So it's a bit glittery.
Wow, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And top it off would be like a little bead to represent the center of the flower.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes, the combination of like the bead and the like different parts of the resin, like it just adds the layers and make it look so interesting from far, like so intricate.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's really nice. Wow, okay. So I understand that you're like also partially based in Shanghai. So how is life like living in Shanghai, and like, you know, how would you say is the creative scene like, or how is it different from Singapore? Do you enjoy living there?
I think for me, I can't say that I've been staying there for very long. About like, I've been there only for 1.5 years, because after when we first moved there, it was like 2020, and then that was when the pandemic started. So we actually returned to Singapore immediately, and we were stuck here for like 1 year plus before we managed to return to Shanghai to kind of like restart our life there. So I was only there for no more than 2 years, and it was an eye-opener. Shanghai is definitely a lot bigger, and therefore there's a lot more creative things that are happening, I think, in comparing to Singapore. So when I was there, I was treated to a lot of weekend craft fairs. There were different shows, and I think Shanghai itself is a pretty, it can be considered almost like a place to go, or like an HQ for ASEAN or something. So there was a lot of those are roving exhibitions that decide to visit Shanghai as well. So we were fortunate enough to get to see all these big name exhibitions that were there at that point in time. So I think the scene was nice. Artisans themselves were also very friendly.
Nice.
To them, I mean, they're super friendly in terms of like, you know, the moment you go to their booths, you know, they start sharing about their craft. Not to them, it's not really, you know, just shopping. You know, you're there, you can ask about stuff. You can ask, how do you make this? What's your craft like? And you know, for some of them, I even managed to, they even like invited me to visit them in the Shanghai studio or something, if they have a studio there. So
nice.
like I got a small treat, you know, like go visit like small little studio setups, see how people do their stuff. And so I was really enjoying my time there. Then but of course, I think I didn't explore as much as I wanted to because of the pandemic that happened last year. So I think last year, for like maybe around 6 months, right, we were kind of like on a quiet mode. Then when everything was lifted, it was like just back in onto the scene. Like things started happening. People were eager to go and explore stuff, and then we followed along.
Oh, that's awesome. Like I have a friend who's based in Shanghai as well, and then now it's like things are back to normal and it's very vibrant, and like it's nice to see that suddenly, like, you know, it's so quick. At one point they were just like in lockdown, right, not able to go out, and then now it's like life is back on
and
the
I
streets.
think they were eager. I mean, they were eager to get things moving as well. So I mean, I'm back in Singapore now for a short time, but I've been checking on, you know, the creative news site in Shanghai, and I've seen like big things, like big craft fairs being held back, being organized,
exciting.
and they were open calls also. So I myself like am very interested in participating in these markets, and so far from what I've seen, I mean, they were very welcoming towards non-local residents as well. So they're like, like if you are a foreigner and you're interested in attending our market, like there's an English description also for you. So very accessible for both foreigner and locals,
Wow,
to
that sounds-
participate in markets.
Wow, that sounds very exciting for like creators everywhere also to like potentially have this option to exhibit in Shanghai and like interact with the people. So like do you feel that there are, when you met all these craftsmen there and they can invite you to the studios, do you feel that there are like just a lot more craftsmen who are like really doing that for a living? Like that's why they could, that's really their livelihood. That's why they have their studio and it's all set up. Are there more of such people there in comparison, you think?
I do think there is I guess in terms of population, right?
Yeah,
in proportion, there is a significantly more number of people doing artisan work in China. So I'm not sure because I didn't really ask in depth, like how's it going? Is it tough? But I think in general, you could feel that they maybe it's a bit different from Singapore in terms of upbringing. Like they are more there's this certain drive that they know that this is definitely what they want to do. I feel like some of them start younger as well.
Nice.
Like they've been immersed in this particular art form for a while, for they started younger, I guess, compared to us or something. And they are very into, they therefore have that, I admire their drive, I think.
Oh, that's nice.
So
too.
like to us, I think Singapore is very small as well, so you can't really move very far in terms of like what you do. But like I know a ceramic friend there. I mean, she's based up north of China when I first made contact with her. And then she told me that, I'm moving soon. And I asked her what she's doing, because she does ceramics and she's based up north. But then she told me that, in 6 months' time, I'm actually moving down to Jingdezhen, which is like the known for their porcelain making. Yeah, so she said she's just going there and she's just going to try it out.
Wow.
Yeah, and I go like, oh my God, you're moving, much further than what I have done in my my life so far. I've never moved so far. I don't know, am I that brave enough? Yeah. So and she's like, no, it's okay. I'll just try it out. If it doesn't work out, I'll just move back.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so that option of moving to that, like a place like that to really further pursue your craft that's a luxury for us. I think for a lot of, but I think China has such a rich culture as well, like craft culture, and if you want to learn about porcelain or ceramics, that's the place that you can go and possibly find all the resources.
And I think that's where, they go to where they feel suits their craft. They do ceramics, and if they move to Jingdezhen, there is better context, maybe better studio facilities to support them as well. And I think more importantly, there's also a lot more context to be made, like networking to be made.
Wow.
And people even domestic tourists will also go, if they want to buy good ceramic or if they're interested, they will go to Jingdezhen. So I guess that's how it's a smart move as well to go there.
So exciting. So actually this is a bit sidetracked, but I went to Jingdezhen before in 1999 and that time all the streets were covered in clay and mud, like the trees were like brown. So now when I look at different people's IG when they visit Jingdezhen, and there are a lot of Scandinavian ceramic artists, like just European, like everyone is that's the place to visit now, because there's so much to learn, so rich in culture, and then it's so vibrant. It's like they have it's just has changed so much over the years, I thought, and definitely would love to visit again.
Oh yes, please visit.
Have you been to Jingdezhen?
Yes, I went there last year. I think after the lockdown was lifted, we get to travel in summer. So we went there, I think just for the long weekend. And then when I was there, a lot less, like the roads are better, facilities are a lot better than what you described just now.
Yes.
And I think it's also a lot more welcoming to foreign tourists, in a sense that there is the language barrier is not as challenging, I think, compared to last time.
Yes.
And I'm aware that there's a Singaporean that's working there also full time as a ceramic instructor.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so we bump into each other by chance at a craft market.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so like they hold weekly craft markets now, and they feature ceramic artists, both with there's different schools, I guess. So there's like the traditional school where they still focus a lot on like the traditional artwork, painting, Chinese kind of, very Chinese oriented type. But then there's also another group of younger generation, I guess, where they are a bit I would say they are more experimental. So they will do works with ceramics that might not be as I would say it's like out of the box. Yeah, so they really work with the materials. For example, like porcelain, like they will actually do a lot of layering, because they want to show, once they hit the light on it, you can see shadows and stuff, right, being played on it. So these are the things that maybe the traditional a simple plate or something will not show, compared to like this layering stuff. They will like poke holes in certain areas to show like the light shining through. So I thought that the ideas the younger generation have is also very exciting, because like I have only seen ceramic in this form, and now that I've seen it being used in different ways, I thought that was quite it's a genius.
Yeah, so fun. Would love to go back again. So actually I was there for an internship. My dad had a porcelain factory in Jingdezhen in the 90s. So I was there for 3 months actually, and it was like just nothing. So I cannot imagine how much it's really grown the community. And it sounds exciting, like to have the resources and support these young people, because I think they have a lot of artist residencies that are supported by the government or something, that like have like villages where you can go.
There's quite a lot of hostel, like what do you call that, short-term, long-term residencies, because I think they want to accommodate to different levels of people, right? There can be people like me who just want to try my hands at making something for maybe 2-3 days. But then there's like residencies like offered for intermediate level practitioners which might last up to a month. And the whole process is laid out for them. The instructors are always on hand. So I think it's a very holistic environment, I feel. And somehow everywhere I walk, there's always like something related to ceramics going around. It can be as it can be as like mundane as a street lamp, but they covered the street lamp, the base of the street lamp, in your blue and white porcelain stuff. So I was like, awesome. Even the lamps are promoting their craft here.
Yes, that's so nice. I'm glad it has really flourished like this. And so it brings me back to the little potential collaboration you're working on with a porcelain artist. Maybe you can share more about that.
So the artist that I mentioned that moved from the north of China to Jingdezhen, so she is we actually met by a good amount of luck over the internet, because when I was in Jingdezhen, I happened to buy a pair of earrings that she made as a souvenir. So I didn't know that. I assumed that it was made in Jingdezhen itself by an artisan. So I didn't really think much of it. I just wanted a souvenir. when I brought it back home, I thought, oh, it would look nice with a pair of daisy earrings, a pair of daisy dangle attachments. So I thought I made a pair, and I attach it to the porcelain earrings. Then subsequently, I posted it on like a China's version of Instagram, which is 小红书. Then I tagged the shop. Yeah.
Wow.
Then I think subsequently, I think the shop kind of directed me, like gave the artist a heads up, and the artist just saw it, and then she dropped a message in the app, and she said, I love your stuff, like, and I would love to work with you, because I didn't know my earrings can be matched like that. I thought I was just making like small trinkets.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's so beautiful. So I will also share a picture and a video of it on the site here. So because it's the pairing was so beautifully done, like there's a tint of like a very light celadon type of a color, right?
Yeah.
For her porcelain, and then it went so well with your daisies.
Mhm.
Yeah, so yeah, it made it very classy. Yeah, so I'm sure she must have been very excited to see this new rendition of her work.
I think for me too, because like so far at that point in time, so far all my earrings were just made by myself, and sometimes I think it can be also a bit lonely, like your ideas will start to stagnant, and you just you go like, oh, what's the next flower I can make? Then when she approached me and she said we should do something together. I was like, oh, then there's a lot of fun things we can do. Like we can discuss about how like the ceramic studs to go with which flower, or we can even do the other way. Like she could easily make her version of ceramic flowers, and I can do an interesting stud using resin as well.
Yes.
So as of now, I think we started discussing quite late anyway. So I'm still here, but when I left to return here, we were still like trying out prototypes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, at the very early stage of the
Yeah.
collaboration. But
And
really exciting.
And when I return, I'm supposed to go to Tsingteze again to meet her at her studio and do the discussion stuff.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
so exciting. I think that's the exciting part about also living in China, because I'm in Shanghai as your base, and then you have all these places you can go to, like potential collaboration and also resources, right? Like for example, your packaging I was just looking at it, it was so nice. It's like a lovely box with logo,
thank you.
and yeah, it's just I think even like the whole ecosystem, like when I was living in Japan, I also felt like there was an ecosystem for creatives to tap to. Like we have our packaging materials, we have craft materials. So when there are more people doing crafts, then you can access these materials a lot better. So moving back, I also felt like, I need to source for all these things all over again. But I'm sure in China, like the possibilities are endless, right? Because things are manufactured in China. So like packaging and any resources, parts, I'm sure you can get it quite, is it like, where do you get like your accessories, parts and stuff?
So for my accessories part, is actually a half-half.
Okay.
So like some parts I get it from China, but there is a process of like getting samples from everyone and then trying them on yourself to see the quality as well, like maybe how fast they tarnish, what's the quality like, is it robust enough to handle, like will it bend or something like that. So and I think also limitations of design. So maybe simple studs, you can more or less get it in China quite easily and with good quality as well. But like certain designs, maybe you want something a bit more interesting and they don't have it in China. Then the other part, my other country to source from is actually Japan.
Yes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They have lots of like good quality parts. Right? Yeah.
So there's a mix. I think for my resin, I actually got my resin from Japan.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
because I haven't found a suitable quality one, like a suitable one in China yet. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think for that kind of like quality stuff, you probably need a longer time. You might, to source
It's a lot of sourcing, and after you source for the samples, you have to give it time, right, to see whether the deterioration and stuff like that. So
that's so true.
but I think China has a lot of really nice the factories are there, so you do have some privileges, like the boxes itself, the quality is pretty good. And they are made there. So you just have, I think it's a lot of work to do lah. When you source, you just have to wait and see what the quality is like.
And I like that you're also taking time to find the best stuff for your brand, like rather than I need to start everything quickly. I think this period of like ideation and sourcing is very important to create a good brand, which I can see is like coming to fruition now, like everything coming together. And I also like saw on your Instagram like how you put like little write-ups for each of your accessories sometimes, like the little write-up. Can you tell us more about those cards that you have?
So like my previous job was actually working as a programs curator for the National Library Board. So my focus was actually to curate and host art and culture programs within the library for visitors and patrons. And I think even after I left the library, the joy of reading, or rather books didn't leave me. So when I did my stuff, I will find like little excerpts of from books which are relevant to flowers. So I will actually like take the excerpt out, print it out, and include it in the packaging. So, in hopes that when people read it, right, because it's relevant to flowers, I think I was hoping that they will be intrigued by whatever excerpt I included, because it's random. There's a few stories, and they would pick up the book itself.
Do you write the book there as well, like where it's from, so people would know? Wow, so nice. At first I thought it was a write-up, because I just looked at it briefly, and I thought it was a write-up on the origin of the flower or something about the flower, but I didn't know there's such a nice story behind it, like from your National Library days, and like to encourage people to read and maybe go and look for that book. It's a very nice touch.
I think it's just a small little fun, like an Easter egg of sorts, right? To show that like I came from the library, so I had this little bunch of resources with me. I think another thing that I would try to let my clients know is that every flower, right, they have a symbolism or a little meaning. They call it like florography. So it's like the language of flowers. So for example, daisies would mean purity and innocence. Like hydrangeas, depending on the color, they represent different feelings. Because people during the Victorian era, people would compile like a bouquet, and the bouquet has different flowers. Each of them have a different meaning. So it's like sending a secret message to whoever. It could be a happy message. It could also be a not so good one. So as long as the person managed to like decipher, then the flower looks pretty, but sometimes the meaning might not be well intended.
Is it?
So it can be quite, it's like a little hidden sarcasm kind of message, but it's quite funny. So I read out about it, and I think different depending, I think Eastern or Western books, I think reference books, they kind of have different meanings. Like I think hydrangeas, right, in the East, like Japan and China, it has more association with good stuff, like abundance and gratitude. But I think in the West, I think it has a more negative connotation to it.
Is it?
It would mean a boastfulness. Because hydrangeas they have a lot of blooms, but they actually have very little seeds. So it's almost like saying you're just all showy.
That's so interesting. I didn't know that. And it's like now if you were to receive a bouquet, you would just be like, thank you. You just, regardless of what flower, you probably think that it's good news, right? Like, yes, thank you.
Just pretty.
But it's just pretty. But then like actually there's so much hidden meaning in it. That would be awesome. Like if there's really, people really put in the thought and then come up with the bouquet.
I mean, right now, a lot of people, hydrangea is one good one, right? Like, people don't know the Western meaning, but then there's the good meaning to it. Yeah, so I think it's okay. It can swing either way.
Yeah, you can find a culture that has a good meaning to it.
And I think the bouquets that they put together, I feel that, if some florist shops can do pay attention to like the, what do you call it, the pairing of these type of flowers, and I think some of them have really nice meanings to it. Yeah, so like, and I think that's one of the things which I was hoping to do. Like, I thought that, because I feel like the earrings that I made, I hope that when you buy it, like, I let you know the meaning of the flower, so that
lovely.
at least it's a bit more thoughtful, like whether you buy it for someone or you buy it for yourself. Yeah, I thought it would be quite nice, and they last longer than fresh flowers.
Sure. Yes, yeah, it's like they can last forever almost, I think.
I hope.
Yeah, so today we were just having a conversation with one of my friends about marigold. Like, do you have any prior experience with marigold flower? So, like you were saying, there's two culture, like different interpretations, and so like apparently she said, like in Japanese culture it means like represents death in the family or something like that. It's not very good, but then when I googled quickly, like all the English results were like positive and like good stuff. So I think you can definitely find one way or another like a good
there's good meanings in most flowers,
right? There should be. They're so pretty. Like, I can't imagine it representing.
But I do know that then I think maybe because of my background, I would read up a bit more about the Western meaning. You read about it, but then I think in terms of research, right, I would the other two that I'll read up on is Chinese meaning and Japanese meaning. Maybe because like you're a bit more familiar with them, you kind of look them up and then you look at their meanings and you go like, okay, so now I know like that there's a bigger repertoire of what you have.
Yeah, so I'm very intrigued by like your process, and also like so your flowers are very much inspired by the original flower, right? Like hydrangeas, for example, but it's also stylized to a certain extent. So how do you strike the balance? Like, like it's very close to the real thing, like once you look at it, because I'm also thinking about flowers, like it would be nice if I can make these in in clay or Polkaros style, but I'm just wondering like how do you maintain, like do you think about like because there are some limits to the material you use as well, right? So what would you look at, and like while you're making like a design like this, you always refer as closely as possible to the original flower?
I would say there is like you said, right, there's a limitation of how much details I can use the wire to create. So and I think another aspect is also when I think of a flower, I have flower references, the photos, but the other thing I'll immediately do is I'll look up the earring designs that are relevant to the flower, because I think the first thing I look at when I see designs is, I don't want to replicate something that's already out there. And I think using the ones that are available online, whatever photos I see, it's also a bit of an elimination, like, I had this idea, but once I see this, I'm like, someone already did it, so I try not to, I'll just like, throw it away. It's the beginning, right? So it's easier to do the elimination.
That's a very interesting process, I would say. Yeah.
So then through it, I would eliminate all the ideas that are similar, and then when I go back to it, the remaining designs, then I'll start seeing how can I shape it or make it come true. Yeah. So for example, I think my camellias, right? They are. I think the challenge was basically the center of the flowers, because camellias are known for how the center of the flower sticks up.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's usually like they stick out a lot. There's a whole bunch of them. It's quite thick.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think for me, I didn't do a thick one. Instead, the center, I used the crystal instead, because I feel that if you add too many things in the center,
Yes.
perhaps there might be a greater chance of it breaking off as well. If someone, if you you know,
Yes.
if you keep wearing it, you have to handle it. Yeah. So I reduced the number, and I thought there needs to be something else to be filled inside, right? Of like a certain height. So like you take prototype different crystals and you put it inside and you see how it fits.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is how I guess my designs come out. It's like every time you prototype, you try a bit of, you try to adjust it, and then I don't know, it just comes. You just look at it, go like, I think that's it. I think I'm quite happy with this. Yeah.
Very nice. So, are your pieces like made to order at the moment, or if someone is interested, how do they go about,
Okay. So, I actually do my designs according to the bloom seasons of the flowers.
Wow.
So, for example, for spring, I'll have cherry blossoms. I have plum blossoms.
Yes, very nice.
I will put them on. I will just say like, oh, this is the for spring season, which is like 4 months or something. I have these few designs which I'm going to make. So if you're interested, just let me know, because I'll just be making these few flowers. Yeah. Then once the season ends, I'll be like, so this is the summer products. And summer will be hydrangeas, sunflowers, a bit of green kind of fronds like ferns and stuff. So that would be available, and people will start ordering. Then I'll make them. Yeah, I don't really make quantities to be to be kept as a stock. But the only reason is because I don't have a storeroom. Yeah, in Shanghai we have, like, it's just a table, like a studio, small table set up as a studio. So I don't really have space to store boxes and stuff as well. Yeah.
And your work is very intricate. Like, you have to bend the wires and then fill in. Do you enjoy it? I mean, of course, I'm just asking just to make sure. Do you enjoy the process of making? Is it therapeutic for you?
Yeah.
Oh, so you don't mind making as many petals, as in you can do it all day long?
I think for the wire work itself, sometimes you get in the zone, right? So you end up just listening to podcasts or like watching, you play a video in the background and you just make your earring, you just make the wire work and you make a bunch of them. Yeah. Then it gets, once you get in the zone, I think you can like just make, and it's okay.
Yeah, that's so interesting, because I was thinking like the only way to keep us going, right, is you really need to love the process, right, of making. Like, you really need to enjoy it, because it's a lot of work and all. But if you enjoy that process, then you can really take this, you can do this for the rest of your life, kind of thing. Like, that love, that passion is very important to fuel this small business.
I'm sure you also do the same,
right? And
like,
I do still love the process. That's why, like, it's like something that I can do forever. That's why. So I was like curious, like, this bending and this process, is it very therapeutic? It must be, for you to make, like, this intricate, because one flower alone, like the sakuras, there's 3 sakuras in a cluster, so it's a lot if people are placing orders, right? Like, you will be making a lot of parts here. So
I think the challenge for me is shaping the wires first. So I there's definitely a sense of satisfaction when everything's like, oh, okay, today is like, there's no mistakes, no wires are broken, like when you bend, when the tension just snaps the wire. So those are like the discarded pile. Then once you're done, once you finish a substantial amount of the wire work, then you're like, okay, the rest is like painting. So I feel that painting is a bit easier, because it's the same, like, it's just applying stuff, like applying nail polish or something. So it's a lot more familiar, I think, painting wise. But it's the wire shaping that I find the most challenging for my work.
Yes, I can tell. The wires are really fine as well, so it's very intricate. Okay, so we have one final question for you before we wrap up the podcast. Is, if you were to bring, like, you can only select like one craft related item or two onto an island, okay, provided you have already all the food and everything else, the survival tools are taken care of, what would be the crafting that you love so much that you would bring along with you?
When you say crafting, do you refer to like my crafting, or you mean like any?
For yourself personally, like something that's like so, like you love so much that you would bring along with you, like something you like doing, crafting so much. Yeah. Is there something like that?
Let me think. What would I do? As in making, do you mean bringing the whole thing, or you mean one item that's
okay,
already
maybe
done?
bring the whole thing then.
Okay,
That is,
okay.
your favorite craft, like that you cannot.
Let me think. I think because previously I think my earlier thought was like, if I could bring one craft to do, what would I do, right?
Yes.
So my first thought was, it could be any craft. So
Okay.
I actually thought that I might bring like I would try something new.
Wow.
Yeah, because
you're very interesting.
Yeah, because it's like you're on a deserted island, right? So I have been doing this for very long.
Wow,
so
you're
I
very
thought like
interesting.
maybe I would pick up something new. At least you'll entertain me for the next few years or something.
I love this answer.
Then I thought, and then my first thought was actually like, I want to try like shibori dyeing or something.
Wow.
Yeah, even though I have no textile experience, but I've always seen like works, and I thought they are interesting. Yeah, like controlling the dye and stuff. So I thought maybe I should try that as my deserted island like activity.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's like the next on the list that you're interested in to
Yeah.
kind of like try and figure out.
Not just that, I am interested in ceramics too.
Yes.
So that's like it's just like I guess for me, right, after I work as events like curator, I get to speak with so many different artisans and designers. So it's, to me, I just find it fascinating, and I thought it would be nice to always learn, like pick up something
New.
interesting. Yeah, to just know a bit more. Like I maybe being good at one thing, I think I'm more interested in the knowledge behind it, like the techniques and stuff, and just knowing about it, knowing the workings behind it rather than mastering it. Yeah, so it's just like the interest just goes on.
Yeah, and it's a great technique, craft to do on an island, because there's a lot of washing. Like shibori, you need water constantly, so
and we need new clothes all the time.
Yes, and then you can just go there and tie.
Learn how to mend your clothes as well, right?
Yes, that too. Yeah, it's fun. Good. Interesting, because sometimes, like, when they ask such questions, like, what's the book that you bring? People would like talk about like their favorite book or like something they cannot live without. But your idea is great, because you're more interested in like, okay, I better take this opportunity to learn something new, like rather than like just do what I already know.
I thought it's maybe
awesome.
Something to like entertain yourself with.
Yourself.
Like this one, if you know, you kind of know the stuff already.
Yes, that's
so
right.
At least on the deserted island, I feel like I might need something else to like ignite something in your brain to continue working.
Yes, so I can tell that you really learn it and like want to explore new ideas. You're not gonna just stop with accessories. I can imagine that you have like new plans. Do you have any new plans that you would like to share with us for the time being?
So I guess for my brand, thankfully the name has nothing to do with botanical related earrings or something like that, right? So I do feel that after a while you need to step away from maybe one craft, like in this case it'll be like resin and wire, and maybe try something else, because that's the fun thing, right? I mean, it's my brand, so I would love to see how different materials work together. Like, I mean, I got really happy when someone said, oh, let's do ceramics and resin wire. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, I also want to make like maybe a line, maybe it's just purely ceramics.
Wow,
then
that's exciting.
Or maybe even next time I might try another material, like maybe like metal crafting, like metal smithing. But I mean, it's just I guess what I created is just this brand is like a space for me to experiment with different stuff. And I mean, it started with this, and there's a lot of flowers to go, so that's why I think it's a good duration for me to still have fun with. Then afterwards, when your creativity starts to plateau, you can touch on another material and do something else with it. I guess that's how I work. I guess.
Do you think the flower theme will be constant or might not be?
I think I hope I can use other themes apart from botanicals.
Okay.
But I do think that the botanical thing was it is still quite close to me, because I mean, I grew up with a lot of parks, a lot of like walk in the parks, picnics. Every time if there's in my childhood, when you go overseas, there's always like some form of nature park exploration going on. So I think all these things kind of influence me. And I think a bit of the pandemic also, when you get locked into the house, you just want something that isn't in your house. And I think to me, it's the floral part. So all these factors just kind of influence me to kick off the brand with flowers first.
I see.
Okay. But maybe sometime along the way there might be other stuff that I'll be interested in, and I hope that the botanics theme will not restrict me from like exploring something else.
Yes. Okay. It was lovely talking to you. If you are interested to see Peixuan's beautiful work, we can go on to her Instagram. Her handle is Marshmellowneh. So really quickly, how do you come up with this brand name, Marshmellowneh?
This brand name was is actually an existing account name for which I had years ago. And again, it started at the library because I was hosting a workshop and someone wanted to see the instructor's Instagram page. So I didn't have Instagram then, okay? And I created an account just to show the patron. And it was just a mixture of bad spelling, fat fingers, you type different characters you didn't mean to. And then after I created the account, I showed it to her, and then I deactivated the account after that.
Yes.
Then fast forward to a few years later, when I thought I should start a brand. Then I tried to create an account, but they said my email was linked to an existing account. So this name came up, and then I looked at it and I a bit. I was like, oh, okay, this one, okay, I should stick with it. Because I didn't know Instagram, right? Like you could change your handle or edit your name after. It was too late for me. I was just like, okay, I should stick with it. And then I did all my branding, related to the name, and there was no turning back after that.
The branding is really nice as well, I thought. And you managed to put a marshmallow on top of a mountain, which is really cute. So I thought, so did you like marshmallow or something? That this was the first word that came to mind?
I do like marshmallows. I do like them toasted. But I think this one was just like the first thing that came to my mind, right?
That's
and
so
I have no
funny.
idea how. I just okay, marshmallow, just type. You know.
I think it's a cute name, and people would remember Marshmellowneh and wonder
thank
what
you.
it means.
Sometimes I feel a bit awkward also when people ask me, so where do you come up with your brand name? I'm like, it really didn't. It's not related to my current like jewelry or whatever I'm inspired by. I just created the name to get an account.
And then it can evolve, right? From it doesn't have to be flower themed after this as well.
Thankfully.
But no, I think you have a very, very tight collection of flower theme accessories, and it's very beautiful. So if you want to check it out, please check out Peixuan's IG is Marshmellowneh, and if you're interested in any of the works, you can just DM her, I guess, to have a conversation, get the conversation started. So thank you very much for being on our show today.
Thank you, Ross, for having me.
Yes, see you guys.
Bye.